Yo! What are we doing here? What is up, America? You got Usurp the Future Volume 2 coming out. We should be up at the same time that you're watching this. Had to record a brief supplement to this week's edition, this month's edition, I guess, is what we're at right now. I'm planning on it being a weekly show. I'll explain more in the podcast, but I wasn't planning on covering the events that took place earlier today, and I guess are still taking place in our nation's capital. As you may or may not be aware, that you're definitely aware by now. 1,000 angry rednecks stormed the Capitol building, okay, which is pretty rad. And I'm going to share my takeaways on that with you guys. I watched the whole thing unfold. I've been watching commentators as they come on about it. Jimmy Dore had an excellent perspective, so I recommend you cruise over to that channel. And Jimmy Dore is just an OG, generally speaking, so you can't go wrong there. Right-wingers, bunch of Trumpers, upset about the election results. Stormed the U.S. Capitol. Couple people dead, I guess, shot by law enforcement, which is to be expected, I suppose, is going to be the cost of any kind of consequential action in the United States. A few people are going to fall victim to the security state. But the question for, I guess, people who identify as liberals or coming from the cultural left is, what's going on? How do I feel about this? And I'm going to tell you how to feel about this. You should be stoked. And if you say, but wait, woke Jesus, these people are fascists, they're racists, they're doing this because they're fascists and racists and they're fucking hicks, they're rednecks, they're these mongoloid people who were we just gonna allow the collapse of our democracy? Get that shit the fuck out of here. This channel is about cutting through the bullshit. It's about getting fucking real and understanding the underlying causes of these things. So let's back away, get some distance from this shit, and understand what Durkheim told us, what Marx told us, what fucking Descartes told us, and even what Machiavelli told us, right? So, humans, the average human is not that much more intelligent than the average chimpanzee, okay? Chimpanzees can learn sign language. I'm friends with people who can barely talk, okay? And these people want to identify with power, right? They're in a position where, like everybody in this country, like me, like working class leftists, like, you know, African Americans, like immigrants, like everyone that you consider yourself to be in solidarity with, assuming you're a liberal cultural leftist, they have been victims of the system. They're victims of the security state. They're victims of the war on drugs. In the inner cities, you deprive African Americans of opportunity to improve their lives, to move forward, to have a meaningful human existence. They become drug addicts. You deny them the opportunities to move up the social ladder or to simply be employed as working class people to do these essential tasks that we consider to be essential for the maintenance of our society. They're bus drivers, they're convenience store clerks, they're what have you, because you ship the fucking GM factories to China. They become drug addicts. White people, when you fucking deindustrialize the Midwest, same shit. You render these people fucking Tyson squeezes these farmers, these chicken farmers, for every penny that they have. They negotiate prices with fucking negotiating power these working class people can never hope to have. Same shit in Flint, Michigan. There's where the auto factories are in fucking China. And people become drug addicts. It was crack, now it's methamphetamine, or it's fentanyl, or it's heroin. These are emergent phenomena that keep repeating themselves that we can understand at a high level, okay? Racism, demagoguery, in-group preference, being pitted against each other, and wanting to identify with something that is more powerful than you presently are essential facets of human existence. They're not common to all people. I try not to fall victim to that kind of shit. A lot of you are probably past that, but it's a thing that is with us and will continue to be with us for some time. And that's what you're seeing. Would these people be storming the United States Capitol under pepper spray and gunfire and whatever else if someone had fucking paid them? If they had used modern monetary theory and actually just given everyone a $2,000 check, if we had single-payer health care, if people didn't have to pay for higher education, didn't have to pay, outlandish costs for health care? No, there's no chance in hell. If people could be safe and be secure in themselves and find their place in the world, which is the function of government. It's not the function of the ruling class, but it's the function of our government insofar as it exists as a liberal democracy. If they had the things that they were promised they would have, they would not be storming the United States Capitol. And if we had those things, I would not be making this podcast here. I'd be fucking doing some bullshit. I don't even know. I'd probably have a degree though, right? Because that's when I dropped out of college, is when it became redundant and I got a sense that they're dancing around the things that I really needed to know. Which you can learn, but they're not going to give it to you straight. You have to find it for yourself, right? And that's where this is, right? So you have to understand, if you're a liberal and you believe that this is all about race, or it's all just that these people are hicks, then you are every bit as fucking stupid as someone who believes the QAnon posts are real. I mean that unironically. I have no respect for you as an intellectual peer if you buy into that narrative. Okay? So, these rednecks that are storming the United States, and I say that as a term of endearment, these people who are storming the United States Capitol have exactly the same interests as the socialists who want to but don't have the balls to do it. And I'm looking at you. I wish I was there. I wish I knew this was going down. I would have bought a plane ticket because they're super cheap right now. And I'd be there on the national lawn drinking a Budweiser around a trash can fire with these people right now. And we'd be having a grand old time. And that is what you need to take away from this. If you're a liberal, if you're a cultural leftist, I just mean, and if you're a conservative watching this, understand, I don't want to change you at all. I want to change the way you live, and I hope you don't want to change the way I live, right? Transsexuals, polyamorous people who are interested in alternate states of consciousness, people who take away from Eastern religions, are interested in newer ways of being that are new to our culture. It's just that. They're just people who are looking for answers. And I hope you can respect that. Nobody in the working class, very few people out of the middle class, have any actual intention of controlling anyone else. And if you do, and get the fuck over that, because it's an extremely immature point of view from which to approach your political philosophy. The way I understand it, and with the trajectory for humanity that I want to advocate, that is not a function of government. Function of government is to make sure that you can find employment and be protected from foreign invasion, be protected from nuclear war, and find your place in the world and work at the highest level you're capable of or that you want to achieve. And things go sideways when we forget that, right? And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you need to understand that the people who are in power ultimately don't care about the cultural specifics any more than I do. The difference is they have capital and it means something to them. And they want to keep it. And that is it, and that's why you get the expansion of the national security state and the intelligence state. That's something you want to watch out for. So if you're liberal, if you're coming from kind of the same cultural milieu as me, you need to be wary of any expansion of the intelligence state that comes as a result of this. You need to look into COINTELPRO, what they did to the Black Panthers in the 1960s, for an example of what you need to watch out for. It's not a false flag operation. What's going down in Washington, D.C. is authentic, and I say that as someone who's aware that the federal government does a lot of things behind the scenes. This isn't one of them, but it's exactly the sort of thing that can be used against the people, and be used as a justification for an expansion of the intelligence state, just as 9/11 was. Like the Reichstag fire in Germany, you can go back and find examples of these things. I'm bringing you the broad takeaway. But ignore the temptation to kind of just feel this vague anxiety and roll over and take whatever they give to you. Because if you'll notice, on the heels of this, force the vote just failed in Washington. Your Justice Democrat people, some of the newer members of Congress on the blue side, are completely failing to uphold their election promises. What exactly how they were co-opted by capital power, I don't know. I don't know the conversations that were had, the phone calls that were made, but it's obvious that they're taking marching orders from someone. There's some donors at stake or something like that, and they didn't vote against Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi is a fascist. She's a reactionary. She needs to go. She's the enemy. Virtually every member of Congress, you can find a few isolated exceptions, and more people, there's a small contingent of people who are on the fence. Like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders does really good in a lot of ways. He's the OG, I believe his heart is in the right place, but he's too cozy with the Democrats. And that's been a problem with him for a long time. Democratic Party is not your friend. The Republican Party is not your friend. We, people who want to advance democratic socialism, who want real democracy in our society, who want workplace democracy, who want people to get fucking paid for the work that they do, who want to have jobs, who don't want to be Chinese, by the way, because that's the ultimate result of all of this, right? If we don't invest in our own proletariat and invest in civilian sectors and approach other modes of production besides pure capital profit motive, and there are other viable modes of production, they have to coexist. We're at a place in human history where they all have to coexist to some degree. if you want a free society with an expanded public sector and a private sector that doesn't own you, that doesn't control and commodify every aspect of your existence, you need to have the balls to do what these people are doing. And not only that, but you need to join forces with them, because you can't, if we're fighting against each other, the intelligence services are just going to swoop in and call the game. The only way, the security state, the military, and the police are broadly working class institutions. They're the blue collar guys, right, from all over the country. In order to assume power, the way Donald Trump did, or the way Barack Obama did, or the way these people are trying to, or whatever, you have to co-opt the security state, which means it is ultimately a revolution of the proletariat. I'm not going to lie to you, this could go bad. They could break fascist. We could have a Nazi government, because that's essentially the demagoguery that Trump started his campaign with, and that he floated to power on, is the scapegoating and the you can read the book on Nazi Germany. We've seen this movie before. It could go that way. But if it does, it will be your fault for not doing what needs to be done and not standing against power. There's no easy way. I have 12 cents in my bank account. I don't care. It cost me nothing to make this video. It cost me nothing to have a good time. There's a little bit of gas in my tank. I'm good. But you need to walk away from whatever you have that's tying you to the capital state, or at least hold that in your mind as an ever-present possibility. You're going to have to walk away from those things, because they're not worth it. They're not worth the sacrifice in human freedom and the sacrifice in human dignity that we have been asked to put up with in the name of what? I can tell you, what are these people offering you? Nothing. Jack shit. So, I understand that these people are consumed by these caricatures of reality, this internet reality show that's being projected on down to us from the capital class, right? And that's infuriating. It's infuriating to watch people make this big of a fuss over a fucking made-up thing when there's real things going on. But you need to understand, they've missed the mark, but they can be course-corrected. And if you're one of the people who's bought into the idea that these people are fundamentally different or fundamentally corrupt or fundamentally racist, then guess what? That applies to you too. You need to stop being consumed by the spectacle, by these caricatures of reality. Because, look, racism and just general in-group, out-group preference, and like punk rockers versus hippies and fucking rednecks versus fucking city people, and it's all part of these games that we play with each other. Politics is supposed to be where we rise above that and focus on what makes us human and how do we promote and further and cultivate that. That is what you need to do. And yes, it involves dragging these people out of the Capitol building and laying them out on the national lawn and shooting them in the back of the head. That is absolutely what needs to happen. But the people who are doing it need to not be Nazis. And in order for these people to not be Nazis, by which I mean the protesters, we, democratic socialists, liberals, people who believe in human freedom, people who believe in the value of cosmopolitanism, multiculturalism, we need to join forces with them and go, look, may the best man win when it comes to that shit. I don't shape the future of America. I don't determine what America looks like in 20 years. And neither do you. But right now, we need to defeat this shit. We need to defeat the security state so that we have the freedom to learn and grow and not have our speech controlled by transnational conglomerates and facetious political parties. And we need to get fucking paid so that we can have homes and spouses and children and a life that means something to us, and so that we can avoid dying in the street. Because people are dying in the street. And that's what mostly concerns me, is because that's a lot of people that I knew and grew up with. I'm going to say some of their names right now. Joe Bresci, Jameson Segal, Shane Harity, Valerie Rhodes. Good people, working class people, ordinary Americans with a lot to offer, who died too young because they were forced to live in this matrix of lies, because they were looking for answers and couldn't find them, and ended up taking too many Xanax and drinking a 40 and suffering respiratory collapse in the back of the car, or whatever the case may be. It needs to stop. It just fucking, it disgusts me, and it should disgust you. If you want that to stop, you need to understand what this is. This is the time for working class power. This is the time for authentic working class politics. Anything else is fucking noise. So, yeah, that's what this is. These people could break fascist, or they could break socialist. If you don't believe it, you need to start trying to see it that way, because I assure you it is true. I've talked to these people. I went to the Trump rally in San Diego. I talked to these people. I just lived in Idaho for a number of years. Good fucking people, for the most part. Maybe 10% of this country is so dumb that they would be like irredeemably racist. That's not going to win an election. What's going to win an election is labor power. And that's all that we have. But it's a lot. So, to that I say, remember this. Arthur C. Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. The national security state has the most advanced technology in the world. The best funded national security apparatus. The fastest computers, the best analytics. They have the closest thing that we consider to be an effective command of magic and an ability to effectively define reality. Do not despair. That can be fought effectively as well. There will always be a limit to the capabilities of magic that are available to mortals. There are things the national security state can and cannot do. It remains to be seen if they can co-opt enough of the military apparatus, not the military brass, not people who are given to bourgeoisie concerns, but enough of the police and the body of the police and military in this country to affect real acute totalitarianism the way that we had in Nazi Germany with the Gestapo, right? They would have to have local police going in, seizing people's Bitcoin wallets, cops literally on every corner in every neighborhood, in neighborhoods they're not used to going to now. People make, like, reading your ballots. Like, my hope is that people in the military, and there's a lot of inner city kids in the military, there's a huge urban presence in the military, these people who have some conception of liberalism, people who identify with Martin Luther King or who just know that democracy is a good idea, because I do believe it's a good idea. There's more to be said than that. There's other ways of being as well, but I believe that's what needs to persist here in this case, in this country right now. I'm banking on the fact that you can't get most of the military and police to oppose democracy directly. Because at a certain point, you know you're a fascist. You can't take away someone's cryptocurrency wallet and send them to a CIA black site on the outskirts of Chicago without knowing that you're a fascist. And if you've been ordered to do that, you need to know that the person who ordered you to do that is a fascist and you need to resist. If we can hold true to that, then we can fucking win this thing. So that's it. I'm all for storming the Capitol. I'm all for these people storming the Capitol. Not about the QAnon shit. The only way that we can harness this energy to do something and then have them still hopefully wake up from this QAnon shit is to join forces with them as soon as possible. I mean, the working class left and the working class right, which is a completely false dichotomy. It's people who have bought into false visions of reality. You're on the left, you're on the right. There's things you've been told that just ain't so. You don't need to bother with the specifics of what those are. You just bother with the big takeaways, which is they need to fucking pay you, they need to give you health care, they need to give you education. A phone and a sandwich wouldn't hurt. That's it. The wealthiest society in human history, in the known epoch, should be able to accomplish that. Materially, we are. And not only that, we create jobs and create meaning and increase general happiness and sense of purpose in the process of doing that. Can you imagine if we approached zero emissions like we approached the moon landing and say America is going to lead in this area? We will be not just independent from foreign oil, but independent from the need to seek new petroleum reserves before China is, before any other country, before even our NATO allies. We treat that like we treated the Apollo program. We do it within 10 fucking years. We're going to pay kids $30,000 a year. They can sign up. We'll fly them to North Dakota to build fucking windmills. Can you imagine the renewed sense of purpose, the morale, the solidarity that would emerge from that? It's real simple. It's not fucking hard. We just need to get these people the fuck out and fucking kill them. And fucking send them to prison. And we can do that legally before you fucking take down my video, YouTube. We can do that under our current legal framework. You can try. Treason is betraying the interests of your country, the people of the United States of America, which is what these people do every day. It's what, as much as you like AOC, and I want to like her, but when she doesn't fulfill her electoral promise of pushing for Medicare for all when the path is laid out in front of her, then she's betraying the interests of the American people. She should be tried, convicted, and sentenced to a hefty prison term for treason. That sounds like a long shot, but that's the America that I want to live in, and that's the America that I believe lives in all of our hearts. So that's it. I'm gonna fucking cut this short. UF2 should be coming out today. Just a little more editing work, audio shit, whatever, not a big deal. Should be uploading that in just a little bit. But yeah, with the recent developments, I had to make a fresh supplement that's up to the hour, up to the minute, about the Budweiser Rebellion, the armed insurrection in the United States Capitol. If you're a socialist, grow some fucking balls. I'm sick of being the only one who wants to go to jail. Jail's not that bad. Go to jail, it'll be good for you. That's it. Fucking, yeah. Woke Jesus. I'm out of here.